Barney Saunders. I've heard it said regarding the Nexium defectors and in general that there's a risk of ex-cult members becoming activists too soon, before they've dealt with their healing and self-care. Was that your experience at all? If not, why? Interesting question, Barney. Thanks for asking me this. I was noted as coming out right away and speaking out, and people were really surprised when I came out back in 2013 and 14 and was really hitting the ground running and speaking out. And in hindsight, I obviously could have done it very, very differently, but I'm a talker, as you guys might have noticed. Like, I really am, and I really talk a lot. So it's very hard for me personally to contain or constrain myself. I have it's a challenge. It always has been, going back to first grade. I mean, all the way back as long as I can remember, I've been that way. So whether it was going to be talking to you guys through a camera, or talking to friends or family, whose ears I was burning and turning and bending a lot during that time period and since, right? I talk to my friends all the time. And I'm a very communicative person. And when I've got stuff brewing, or I've got things on my mind, or I've got, stuff on my chest, I've got to get it off. I got to talk. So, or write. But talking more is better than writing for me. So I think for me, and especially, of course, also given my issues and problems with psychologists and psychiatrists, which I have had issues with, I straightened myself out early on with how bad psychiatry is, and I didn't continue to believe Hubbard's nonsense about it. But that didn't mean that I had the finances or the wherewithal or the time or ability to go, avail myself of psychological help. I tried to get some therapy at one point with a cult-trained counselor, and we did a few sessions, but it was just too expensive for me, and I didn't have insurance and blah, blah, blah. That was years ago. Since then, I have really leaned heavily in on education as the key component of my recovery. That's usually a part of anybody's recovery. If they're doing a psychological program of treatment and recovery, there will be psychoeducational components to it. For me, that's been the bulk of my recovery and my talking to you guys, right? Or talking to friends and family. And so I don't think I came out too soon, or that I did something wrong, or that I could have done it better. I just don't see that for my circumstances and my situation. I know for sure that there are some people who did come out and start talking too soon. I'm not naming names. I'm not thinking about any specific or anybody you might know or something like that. I'm just saying that there are people who do that. And in fact, it even came up in the podcast I did yesterday with Seth Andrews, where he mentioned that a content creator, Jimmy Snow, who is a former Mormon, I believe, or JW, he said, you should just nobody should start talking until they've been out for 4 years and have had time to process everything. And I get where he's coming from. I would never lay down such a blanket statement like that because I don't think that's true. But I do know that for some people it's true. And that some people need that time to chill and process and calm down and give themselves the time and space and distance that they need. So I think it's individual to people. And self-care is definitely something that my background did not let me appreciate well enough until I'd, stripped off a lot of layers of the onion. And you guys have tracked with me on this through the years. You've seen how my journey has gone and how the onion layers have come off. And now I'm at a point where I just don't think Scientologically anymore at all. except except when I find myself doing so. And it does still happen. And the self-care thing that I've been going on about for the last few weeks on my channel here, if you guys have noticed, has been a kind of onion layer in itself, because I really eschewed, I really, really did push back quite hard on the idea of needing to give myself a breaks, give myself time, enough time, right? And, it's just been it's been a work in progress this whole time, right? So first I had to learn how to relax at all. Then I had to learn how to relax for periods of time without guilt. That took a long time. Still an issue sometimes, but not anywhere near what it used to be. I mean, I couldn't sit still for 5 minutes for the first couple of years after getting out of the church, without feeling guilty that I wasn't working. I just couldn't. Now it's kind of inverted. It's very different. My work is work, and my play is play, and I am able to choose both of these things a lot more freely than I used to be able to. So so it's, I don't know. So it's a little hard for me to say. I can't take my template or my experience and lay it over everybody else. I can only say that, from my own experience, I think the path I took was pretty much the path I needed to take, but other people are going to have different experiences with that.